Thank you for your time today, Florian, and congratulations on the Oscar nomination for The Father. That's incredible. How did you celebrate when you heard the news?
what I It was a pure joy, I have to say, and and I am really grateful. It's like a wonderful present, especially this year. It's not the best year to have your film released, and in the meantime to receive such encouragement, it means a lot.
I actually had the pleasure of seeing The Father late last year, and then obviously we had some delays and things have been moving around on the release schedules. Was that frustrating?
Yes, of course, it is frustrating, but I have no right to complain, because we are all going through challenging times. So we have to focus on what is good, what is possible, and what is joyful, and to try not to give too much attention to what is painful, difficult, and frustrating.
I love that positive attitude. How did the story for The Father first come about? Because it's around 10 years ago now that the stage play came out. Is that right?
Yes, before being a film, The Father was a play, and I wrote it 10 years ago, you're right. And I guess at the beginning, I was trying to go through a personal story. Um, it's about a man losing his bearings, and I knew a bit about this painful process because I have been raised by my grandmother. She was like my mother, and she was a very important person to me. And she started to suffer from dementia when I was 15. So I knew a bit what it was to find yourself in a position where you are impotent. You love someone, and you understand that love is not enough in a way. But I also knew that everyone, unfortunately, everyone is related to this issue, meaning that everyone has a grandmother or everyone has a father, and everyone has or will have to deal with this dilemma, which is, what do you do with the people you love when they are starting to lose their bearings? So it was not about trying to tell my story, it was about sharing emotions. And this is what matters to me. And this is what happened in a way on stage, because I was not certain that the audience would be open to such an emotional journey. And I was really surprised and profoundly moved to discover the response of the audience. It was really powerful, and people were waiting for us after every performance, not to say congratulations, but to just to tell their own story and to share their own story. And I realized that there was something cathartic about it, just to remember that we are all on the same in the same boat, and we are not just individuals, but we are part of something larger than ourselves. And there is a consolation, I think, and a beautiful one and a real one, to experience this fraternity. And I think that art is done for that.
I agree. I completely agree. I love the storytelling technique here without giving too much away. I just love how it keeps the audience on uneven ground and really immerses them in what Anthony is going through. What kind of adjustments had to be made from the stage to turn it into a film?
Yeah, because it's true that what I didn't want to do is just to film a play. It's not very exciting. And I wanted to make a film and to do something cinematic and to do on what the cinema can do and what only the cinema can do. But I really wanted to keep the narrative of the play, or what was original about it, which is, as you said, to put the audience in a unique position, as if they were going through a labyrinth, as if in a way they were in the main character's head. Because I didn't want to tell the story from the outside. There are many films about dementia, and they are always a bit the same. They could be very meaningful or emotional, but it's always, you know where you are and you know where you are going. Here, I wanted The Father to be not only a story, but to be an experience, the experience of what it could mean to lose everything, including your own bearings as a viewer. So I wanted the audience in a way to experience a slice of dementia. And it was a way for me to play with that feeling of disorientation and really to be in the shoes of Anthony Hopkins.
Mm.
So this is something that I kept from the play, but I wanted to find a visual way to turn this experience into an even more immersive and even more subjective experience. And thanks to the cinema, thanks to its language, it was uh, it was very exciting for me to find this visual way to do what could be done only on screen and not on stage.
Well, it's incredibly effective. Did you have to do a lot of complicated storyboarding to keep track of all the complex and simple changes that were happening around the set?
Actually, when I start writing the screenplay, I remember I draw the layout of the apartment from the very beginning, as if it was one of the main character, and it matters to me. And it was very exciting and joyful for me to find a way to use that set uh, in as if it was part of the narrative. You know, it was not about providing a background. It was trying to tell the story through the set. So I made the decision to shoot the whole film in a studio, so that as a filmmaker in a studio, you can do whatever you want. You know, you can remove a wall, you can change the proportions, the colors, the pieces of furniture very easily. And I wanted to use that uh, to tell that story. Meaning that at the beginning of the story, we are in Anthony's apartment. There is no doubt about it. You recognize his space, his knickknacks, his pieces of furniture. And step by step throughout the film, always in the background, there are some small changes or small metamorphoses on set. Sometimes some pieces of furniture are disappearing, or the colors are not the same, or the proportions are not exactly the same, so that you recognize the space, you know, where you are, and you recognize the way to travel into it. But at the same time, something had happened. You're not quite sure what happened exactly, but something had happened. And you are not quite sure of where you are anymore, where you're not anymore. So that you are, this set is about to become like a labyrinth, and you have to question everything. And you are doubting about the reality of what you see, what you do not see. And it was a way for me to, again, to make people experience what it could mean when you are not certain of what is real and what is not real.
I love the use of the watch as like a metaphor for losing time too. It's like every time Anthony lost his watch, he lost some more time. Is that intentional?
No, no, of course it was intentional. It's true that I remember, for example, because I was talking about my grandmother, she kept thinking about her car because she was too old to drive, you know. So we had to take her car away, and it became like an obsession. And there are always these kind of obsessions. And I thought that for Anthony, the character, it would have been meaningful if his obsession would be on his watch. You know, he's looking all the time for his watch. He believes that someone has taken it away from him, and so, and of course, because it's the time is broken in that film. I mean, it's not a linear film, and the space and the time are so complex and chaotic. So it was a way to play with that journey.
Was it always the plan for you to turn it into a film and for you to be the director?
No, it was really a play, and it's just because, as I said, I was moved by the cathartic dimension of the response from the audience, that I realized that something could be done, and something that could be even more immersive, and so even more powerful, in my opinion. And this is when I made the decision to make that film, but it was not the original plan.
And then you get these powerhouse actors like Anthony Hopkins and Olivia Colman who are just magic on screen together. Did you ever have days where you just sat back and thought, how did this happen?
Yes, I'm every day I'm grateful, uh, because it's not, you know, you need so many miracles for a film to be made, and you have to be aware of that. But what happened is that when I started dreaming about that film, because everything starts with a dream, the one and only face that came to my mind was Anthony Hopkins' face. And the fact is that I'm French, as you can hear, and so it was not an obvious decision to do that film in English.
Mm.
But I had this powerful conviction that it has to be done with here. So that's the reason why I tried to start working in English.
Mm.
And and I knew, I mean, I was aware that it was not an easy dream to fulfill. because I'm not crazy. But and when I was sharing that ideas with my friends, I remember they were kindly laughing at me a bit, you know. But I thought to myself, you know, until someone comes and proves you that it is not possible, it means that potentially it is. And most of the times, we are the ones who close the door of what is possible and what is not possible. And this time, I really wanted not to close that door and to follow my desire, my intuition, my conviction in a way,
Mm.
and to try to make it happen. So I just wrote the script and I sent it to his agent and I waited. And one day I received a call. I didn't know the phone number, and it was his agent. Let me know that Anthony wanted to meet with me. So I took a plane to Los Angeles to have breakfast with him. And this is how it started.
I was going to ask you that. You took a plane all the way to LA just to have breakfast with Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, it was the most expensive breakfast ever. But I mean, because of the plane.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was 2 hours conversation for 2 hours. It asked me so many questions about what was my vision,
Mm.
but and I was really impressed because he's Sir Anthony Hopkins. But I have to say that after 2 minutes, I knew that it would be almost easy to work with him because not only he's very intelligent, but I knew that, but he's also very humble, meaning that as an actor, to be humble means he's not here to serve himself. He was here to serve the story, the emotions, and the vision of the director. And throughout the whole process, he really gave me the opportunity to do exactly the film I had in mind. And he's really generous. He was very generous to me. And so at the end of that meeting, he just took me in his arm, you know, and he said, "Okay, let's make that film." So this is how it started, like a very joyful
Yeah.
process, and throughout the whole film, it was very intense and very joyful as well.
Very intense. How?
You know, it was not about. I mean, I didn't come to him to ask him to do what he's known for.
Mm.
It was to try to do something else and to explore a new emotional territory and to go to that very fragile and vulnerable place. And it was a challenge, especially because it was not about creating a character, trying to fake an old man with a disease. What I asked him to be is just to be in front of the camera, and no acting required in a way. And in order to be overwhelmed by his own emotions, his own fears, and in a way his own feeling of mortality. So it was a challenging process. It was a demanding process. And I think that he was very brave to do so because he went to that place. Uh, he accepted to explore that for us, you know, just to make us feel, experience what it could mean to lose everything. And I mean, I'm really grateful to him because he did such an amazing and beautiful and powerful work.
Mm.
I think he was really brave.
He's phenomenal, and Olivia as well. And in fact, the whole cast is amazing in this. Just before I wrap up, Florian, I'd really love to ask you about the music because it's really quite dramatic, but also simple, and it crescendos with what Anthony's going through. Can you tell me a little bit about how you chose the music?
Two things. I would say that I had the opportunity to work with Ludovico Einaudi, this magnificent Italian composer. And I was talking with him and I said, you know, to me, it's like a labyrinth and I'm looking for the golden thread. And this image turned into a sound. It's like this simple violin.
Mm.
It was something as if it was almost nothing, you know, the pure simplicity. The simplicity is always the most difficult thing to achieve. And this brilliant composer, Einaudi, achieved that. But also, I talked so many times with Anthony about everything before we started the shooting. And we discovered that we were both in love with the same area taken from the Bizet opera, the Pearl Fisher. And he told me that story that 50 years ago, he discovered that music. He was touring a play somewhere in the UK and suddenly discovered that pieces of music, and he ran back to his hotel because he knew that there were a piano there, and he went to the piano just to find the melody before it disappeared in his mind. And everyone became crazy, he said, in the hotel, because he did it for 3 days with no interruption, because he's like very obsessional.
Mm.
And he said, then I told to myself, he said, that I would love and I would dream to make one day a film with that music in it. So this music come times in the film. So I fulfilled his dream 3 times because he fulfilled mine, which was to make that film with him.
That is amazing, Florian. Thank you so much for your time today. I love the passion. I loved this film. It's my pick for Best Picture at the Oscars, and I'll be very surprised if you don't walk away with that one. So I hope you really celebrate come Oscar night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.